Already we have discussed about the developmental stages like that cleavage, morula and the blastocyst. When the embryo comes to uterus, it is in blastocyst stage. It is having the peripheral cover trophoblast and central inner cell mass. At that time it attaches to the endometrium of uterus and embedded in uterus, endometrium of uterus. That is said to be implantation. That we have already discussed. Here we do see the structure where that embryo is covered by a placenta. Let us see how the placenta is formed here. What is placenta? Placenta is a physical contact between growing embryo and a maternal body. That embryo, is covered by trophoblast. That peripheral portion of trophoblast is having chorionic villi. That trophoblast of embryo is having finger-like projections named chorionic villi. These chorionic villi are covered by uterine tissue and maternal blood. Uterine tissue and maternal blood. These chorionic villi of embryo are interdissecated with uterine tissue. They are interdissecated with uterine tissue and forming structural and functional unit between a developing embryo and maternal body. That is said to be placenta. They may ask a one last question. What is placenta? Placenta is a structure which is formed by the chorionic villi of embryo and uterine tissue are interdissecated. They are interdissecated each other, jointly forming a structural and a functional unit between a developing embryo and a maternal body. That is said to be placenta. A chorionic villi of embryo and uterine tissue are interdissecated each other, jointly forming structural and functional unit between developing embryo and maternal tissue. That is said to be placenta. And that placenta is connected to the embryo by umbilical cord. Umbilical cord. That placenta, this part, interdissecated part, is placenta, and it is connected to embryo by umbilical cord. And through this placenta, and one thing we notice here, placenta is not a total part of either embryo or uterine tissue. It is a partially from embryo and partially from uterine tissue. And This placenta helps for many things to this developing embryo. Through this placenta only, nutrients and oxygen are supplied to the fetus. A growing embryo is named as fetus. A growing human embryo is named as fetus. This fetus gets nutrients and oxygen supply through the placenta. And the second one is the waste, nitrogenous waste and CO2, which are formed in fetus, growing embryo. They go back to mother's blood. They go back to mother's blood through the placenta only. Whatever the waste which are formed in fetus, like nitrogenous waste like urea, even traces of ammonia and uric acid, and a respiratory waste CO2, which are formed in this embryo, they are going back to the mother's blood through the placenta. By these two things, nutrients and oxygen are supplied to the fetus through the placenta, and a waste formed in the fetus like nitrogenous waste and CO2, they are coming back to mother's blood through the placenta only, and then antibodies formed against many diseases which are present in mother's blood, they will go to fetus through the placenta and protect the fetus against those diseases the mother faced. In mother's blood, there are antibodies against many diseases, and those antibodies can pass through the placenta and go to the fetus and protects the fetus against those particular diseases. Even fetus stores iron content, calcium, fat, sucrose. That placenta, it stores iron content, calcium, fat and sucrose, because during the pregnancy period, mother will have a loss of appetite. She doesn't have a feeling to eat, but she has to eat for the sake of that developing embryo. If the mother is not taking food properly, under that condition, the placenta already stored this content is supplied to the fetus. Is supplied to the fetus. Whenever there is a loss of appetite in the mother, so that she won't take food, but food is necessary for the developing embryo, so that placenta, it supplies that stored food to the fetus. In addition to this, this placenta secretes some hormones. Hormones secreted by placenta. First one is HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. Second one is HPL, human placental lactation. Then estrogen progesterone, and lastly relaxin during the early phase of pregnancy. Relaxin is produced. These are the 5 hormones which are produced by placenta at the time of pregnancy. Once the implantation took place, it means pregnancy is achieved. During that pregnancy period or gestation period, placenta plays very important role. Even they may ask, what is placenta? What are the functions of placenta? You have to define the placenta is a part which is formed when chorionic villi of embryo are interdigited with uterine tissue and jointly form structural and functional unit between developing embryo and maternal body, that is placenta. Functions are through the placenta only. Nutrients and oxygen are supplied to the embryo. And second one is nitrogenous waste like urea, traces of ammonia, uric acid, and respiratory waste CO2. They are sent back to mother's blood through the placenta. And antibodies against various diseases which are formed in mother's blood, they are supplied to the fetus through the placenta. And even placenta plays the role to store the food and some nutrients like iron content, calcium, fat, sucrose, because during pregnancy mother will have some sort of loss of appetite. She doesn't feel to eat. Under that condition, placenta supplies food to the that growing embryo. And in addition to this, the very important function of placenta is it produces 5 hormones. One is HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. HPL, human placental lactation, estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin. These are the 5 hormones. Among them, relaxin is produced at the end phase of pregnancy. That too, at the time of delivery, relaxin is produced by placenta. And remember, this estrogen and the progesterone, these are the hormones which are produced in ovary also. That estrogen is produced by Graafian follicle and the progesterone is produced by corpus luteum. In addition to that, estrogen and the progesterone are also produced from placenta. And during pregnancy period, in the mother's blood, all these hormones must be in maximum level. In addition to these hormones of placenta, even other hormones like cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine, even these hormones, this cortisol produced from adrenal gland, and the prolactin from pituitary, thyroxine from thyroid gland, all these should be there in the mother's blood in higher concentration along with these. If this hormonal level is very maximum in the blood, it helps for fetal growth and also the maintenance of pregnancy. If any deficiency in these hormones, that leads to abortion. That's why all these hormonal strength, concentration in the blood must be very much, and that helps for fetal growth that helps for maintenance of pregnancy, even that increases metabolic activities in mother's body. Metabolic activities in mother's body. It is the role played by placenta as well. And then once it is attached and the placenta is developed and all these hormones are there in the blood, and during that, that the cervix, this is fetus, cervix is an opening of uterus, this is cervix, and that cervix is closed by a mucus plug that is closed. Cervix is closed by mucus plug, and once this mucus plug is there, in case there is a sexual intercourse during pregnancy, that semen ejaculated never enters into uterus, because the cervix, opening of uterus, is closed by the mucus plug, and here even it is having a reserve food in this yolk sac, and then this embryo is formed from inner cell mass. That inner cell mass contains stem cells, and these stem cells, they are capable to produce various tissues of the body. They are having the potentiality to produce various types of tissues as well, and this inner cell mass is distinguished into outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner endoderm. Outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner endoderm. That inner cell mass, which is having stem cells, is differentiated into 3 germ layers: outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm, and inner endoderm. And these germ layers give rise to various tissues. Then once the implantation takes place, the duration between implantation to delivery, that period is said to be gestation period or pregnancy period. And usually this gestation period is having the duration of 9 months, 10 days, around 280 days as well. 9 months, 10 days is around 280 days of gestation period. During this gestation period, what are the developments we do find in that fetus? Let us see. First month, heart is developed. In first month of gestation period, heart is developed. When a woman consult the doctor. Doctor places stethoscope on her belly, stomach, and hears a mild heartbeat of embryo, fetus. That is the indication. By that heartbeat sound, by the stethoscope, they will come to confirm the pregnancy is achieved. Because in the first month, there is a development of heart. That's why doctors, they hear a mild heart sound of that embryo by placing stethoscope on the belly of mother. And second month, limbs and their digits are formed. Four limbs and hind limbs and their digits are formed. Four limbs and hind limbs with their digits, they are formed in second month as well. And third month, it is otherwise said to be first trimester. First trimester. During third month, all the organ system are developed. For example, all the limbs well developed and the external genital organ is also developed. All the organ systems are developed during third month, and that third month is said to be first trimester. And in the fourth month, there will be no significant development at all. Fourth month, no such significant development. But fifth month, where first movement of baby, first movement of that fetus, and appearance of hair on head. In the fifth month, that fetus embryo start moving. It's the first movement we do observe when fifth month comes. The first movement of fetus in the uterus, and also appearance of hair on head. Hair start appearing in fifth month. And sixth month, this is considered as second trimester. Second trimester, here appearance of hair on the whole body and eyelid separate. It opens its eyes, eyelid separates, and appearance of hair on the whole body. And 7 month, a complete development of infant. In 7 months, and up to 9 months, that completely developed fetus remains in the uterus as if it is there in an incubator. Uterus is a natural incubator. you might have heard about. Even the delivery takes place during 7 months also. That baby survives. But premature delivery during 7 months, that baby can be placed in incubator in hospital for few days because it's very delicate. By 7 months, complete development as well. And the delivery will be taking place during 9 months, 10 days as well. And there is one misconcept, like if the delivery takes place during 7th month, there is no harm to baby. Even the delivery takes place during 9th month, there is no harm to the baby. If there is a delivery during 8th month, the baby dies. It's absolutely wrong. By 7 months, there is a complete development of that embryo took place. Delivery can take place at any time, either in 7th month or in 8th month, even in 9th month as well. There will be no death or anything during 8th month. And this is the pregnancy period. And during pregnancy period, the first month we could see heart is developed, and 2nd month limbs and digits are developed, and the 3rd month, which is considered as first trimester, where all the organ systems are developed, including limbs and external genital organs are well developed. And the 4th month, there is no much development is observed, but in 5th month, first movement of fetus starts and even appearance of hair on the head. And the 6th month, considered as 2nd trimester, where the appearance of hair on the whole body, even eyelid separate. And 7th month, total development of that infant or fetus is there. Then it will remain in the uterus as if it is there in incubator. And uterus is a natural incubator. And a premature delivery may take place during 7 months or 8th month, but a proper delivery timing is 9 months, 10 days. By the time the total development of that fetus takes place. Now it's time to discuss about parturition. Parturition means delivery, a technical term for delivery. After 9 months, 10 days of gestation period, there is a vigorous contraction of uterine wall. A vigorous contraction of this uterine wall, which causes expulsion or delivery of this fetus through the birth canal. That birth canal involves cervix, cervical canal and a vagina. These three together named as birth canal. A vigorous contraction of this uterus causes expulsion of this infant. A newborn baby is said to be infant through the birth canal. That birth canal is cervix, cervical canal and a vagina. And this parturition is a neuroendocrinal mechanism. It is under the control of nervous system and is also under the control of hormones. Neuroendocrinal mechanism. Parturition is neuroendocrinal mechanism. It means is under the control of nervous system and is also under the control of hormonal secretions. The parturition, the first signal is given by that fetus and placenta. Once that fetus is completely developed, a first signal for delivery, parturition, is given by the fetus and the placenta. That leads to the contraction of uterus. That is named as fetal ejection reflex. That is said to be fetal ejection reflex. Once the fetus is completely formed, a first signal for delivery, parturition, is given by the fetus and the placenta. That causes uterine contraction, and that uterine contraction is said to be fetal ejection reflex. Due to uterine contraction, this stimulates pituitary to produce oxytocin. Oxytocin hormone, a neurohypophysis part of pituitary, produces oxytocin. This pituitary produces oxytocin only when uterine contraction is started. Once oxytocin is secreted from pituitary, that increases uterine contraction further. Uterine contraction further increases. Once uterine contraction further increases, that stimulates pituitary to produce more oxytocin. And when more oxytocin is produced, uterine contraction is once again increases. Once uterine contraction is further increased, that stimulates pituitary to produce oxytocin. This will be continued, and contraction becomes stronger and stronger. This kind of mechanism is said to be positive feedback. Positive feedback. Positive feedback in the sense, when uterine contraction increases, that stimulates pituitary to produce oxytocin. Once oxytocin is produced, uterine contraction is further increased. Once it is increased, it further stimulates pituitary to produce oxytocin. Positively they are influencing each other, stimulating each other, so that uterine contraction becomes very stronger and stronger. That leads to delivery. That fetus comes out through the birth canal along with the placenta. And you are knowing the placenta and that fetus are connected by umbilical cord. Once the delivery takes place, not only that fetus or infant, newborn baby, even placenta is also coming out, and the doctors, they cut the umbilical cord and tie. This umbilical cord is cut and tie to separate that newborn baby from the rest of the placenta. And placenta is separated from that newborn baby as well. This is about parturition. And one more terminology it is necessary to know, that is lactation. Lactation. What is lactation? Lactation, during the pregnancy period, during gestation period, the development and differentiation is taking place in functional mammary glands of that mother. Maximum development and differentiation takes place so that at the end phase of delivery, milk is produced in mammary glands. Milk is produced in mammary glands, that is said to be lactation. And for the production of milk at the end phase of pregnancy in mammary glands is under the control of LTH, luteotropic hormone of pituitary, as it is stimulating the mammary glands to produce milk. This hormone is also named as mammotropin and is also named as prolactin. And these three hormones, they are LDH is otherwise said to be luteotropic hormone, mammotropin and prolactin, and this is the hormone helps for the production of milk in mammary glands at the end phase of pregnancy, that is said to be lactation. And starting few days, that milk is said to be colostrum. This is rich with antibodies. That's why breastfeeding is must. Minimum 6 months for that baby. It is very necessary because the colostrum starting few days, because baby is very delicate, that protects the baby by this milk as well. And here LTH is responsible only for the production of milk by mammary glands, and another hormone is also involved, that is oxytocin, and oxytocin helps for ejection of milk from mammary glands after childbirth. Remember, we should not confuse with the role played by these two hormones, that prolactin or mammotropin or LTH. It helps for the production of milk in mammary glands, and oxytocin is the hormone which helps for ejection of milk from mammary glands after childbirth, because at the time of childbirth, delivery only, oxytocin is produced. Even oxytocin plays very important role for contraction of uterine wall. Even it helps for ejection of milk from mammary glands after childbirth as well. This is about parturition and lactation. With this, human reproduction topic is completed.